Thank you, Michelle. All right, so today is December 5th, 2023, and we're at the 7 p.m. Board of Supervisors meeting. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, my God. Well, welcome and thank you. Is there a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda?
Motion.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion for the approval of the November 16th minutes, possibly with a correction?
Motion.
And Michelle, was there a no? Okay. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
And there was no executive session prior to tonight's meeting, so there's no report of executive session. That brings us to public comment on any non-agenda items. Folks on Zoom, feel free to send us a message in chat, or better yet, unmute yourself. If, after there's a second, you have every opportunity to comment, same as the in-person audience. So no public comment on non-agenda items. Okay, and that brings us to announcements. Just three short things, and I don't know if Mark or Mike has anything to announce. St. John's has their Light the Night, which is on December 10th, which is something they do annually. It's a drive-through light display. On the 16th, the Wooddale Church is having Wreaths Across America. They do this every year. It's a national event where at 12 noon, Wreaths Across America organizes and does a ceremony for all servicemen and women during the holiday season. On the 28th, we are here tonight, and our treasurer and Supervisor Dwyer will present the budget. Then you'll have 20 days to inspect it. And then on December 28th is our next meeting, and that's when the budget will be ripe for action and possible action. So, Mike and Mark, do you have any announcements to go?
Sure. Golf course is remaining open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, weather permitting. So call over the pod. The tea times are between 9 and 11, so you can get 18 holes in before dark. So we have more nice weather. Those days will last a week. So a couple of days, take advantage of them. $29.
All right. There being no further announcements, Michelle, did we have any correspondence?
The board received a notice of proposed division of the Middle Smithfield East and West election districts. The Elections Board of Monroe County has filed a petition with the Court of Common Pleas in Monroe County. This is to create an additional 2 voting districts within Middle Smithfield Township. The court will hear this on December 18th at 1:15 in a courtroom to be determined.
Okay. So the township, in order to advertise this, has posted this in as many places as we have access to, like our HOA message boards, website, Facebook, and you know, I'm glad that we have somebody here from the election office tonight. If anyone has any questions, Sarah is on Zoom. Hello, Sarah. Oh, there she is.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you great. Does anyone have any questions about this? I saw a head nodding.
Yes.
Would you like to? This is James Furiosi has a question.
Okay.
Polling places run the deed.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what he said.
Where the new polling places would be.
Okay, if there's 2 new districts, Where are the going to be?
The two current ones would remain the same, and then the Middle Smithfield Presbyterian Church and the Catholic Church.
Oh, the church
St.
is
John.
not-
Okay, so they're still gonna be along the same corridor?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions regarding this petition? Anyone? And then.
I was wanting to know what was the need for the two additional districts? Voting
Well,
area.
The count of voters is way over what the state mandates in a precinct, and we've been trying to do this for a long time, and with the presidential coming up next year, we wanted to try to alleviate some lines. And we go off the census lines for this. So Steve Rinker, that's in charge of the planning and mapping, him and I sat down. So basically we just split Middle Smithfield East in half and Middle Smithfield West in half.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Sarah, this is Mike Dwyer.
Yes.
You're suggesting that this redistricting would happen next year?
Well, the hearing is obviously this month, and then we will get the lines and everything in order. So yes, it would go into effect by the end of the month.
Yep.
And we would send voters notices where they're to vote. And they'll get new cards in the mail. They'll get a postcard in the mail of their new voting place if it's changing.
Okay. I was always under the impression that it couldn't happen during the presidential election.
Well, that's why the judge did it now. No, it can happen this year. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I can't split anything next year, but this year. So it was scheduled and I didn't get notice of the hearing. It was supposed to be last Friday and I didn't get notice. So the Prothonotary office sent it to John Dunn's old office, and nobody gave me a notice of the hearing. So we had to reschedule it. So that's when the judge got it in on the 18th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any other questions or comments? Before we move on? All right, well, thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
All right. Now we're up to the star of the show.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the 2024 budget for Middle Smithfield. I'm gonna hand out. But there's enough, it's not all. It's taking part of the back as well.
No, are they still, are the Zoom people still? No.
This after.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I'll read that after.
Okay, so can the folks on Zoom, can you see that on your screen?
No, it has to scroll down.
What did you say, Annette?
Hey, I'm asking can the people on Zoom see the budget up on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, great.
And you folks can too, right?
Well, they have a copy.
Yeah.
All right, so we go through this every year at this time to explain where we are in the current year and then what we're proposing for the following year. Some of the highlights I'll go through. The budget presentation will be on the website tomorrow. If you'd like to get a copy, you can come into the office tomorrow as well. So the main focus of 2024 is to increase funding for our fire and EMS providers. That's been something that the township has been working with our providers for quite some time now. We know that the funding that is in place right now is insufficient. And also, the cable franchise fee was relied upon, has been decreasing year over year, which has had a negative effect on the fire and EMS as well. So in 2024, we're proposing a 0.5 mil fire tax. That would be distributed to Marshall's Creek Fire, Bushkill Fire, and Shawnee Fire. We would also are proposing a 0.4 mil tax for emergency medical services. That would go to Bushkill Ambulance, Suburban, Lehman Pike, and a portion to Marshall's Creek, as they have an ambulance service. So basically a 0.5 mil increase is about $80 a year for a homeowner. 0.4 would be about $64. So you're talking about roughly $150 a year increase, which would be dedicated to fire and ambulance. We've also, prior to this meeting, we increased the LST, the local services tax, from $10 a year to $52 a year, or $1 a week. As I said, the cable franchise fee is expiring in June of 2024. The Middle Smithfield real estate tax will remain the same. So we're not looking to increase our general funds or increase anything within outside of the fire and EMS. So that will remain at 1.75 mils for 2024. The sewer rates will remain the same for 2024. Golf membership and fees will increase for 2024. And again, you know, we have to do these things to not only be fiscally responsible, but also meet the needs of our volunteers and our fire and EMS. I'm gonna try to move this down. You guys have the full thing, so I know it's going to be hard for people online to sort of read through this. I'm just going to go through the highlights for you, and again, I'll gladly get you as a copy. So in 2023, Middle Smithfield had a good financial year. We saw increases in real estate taxes, real estate transfer fees, earned income, zoning and building department fees, and also the addition of Tractor Supply and completion of Mount Nebo Apartments has benefited, you know, the municipality. We did have some large projects, for instance, Public Works. Our Public Works Department completed a bridge replacement throughout 2023. We received over $125,000 in grants, which were applied to a number of projects in the township. Our golf course experienced a decent year. Our income per round was actually up, but we didn't see as many outings as we had in prior years. The Community and Cultural Center continues to see increased activity. And our sewer fund, quite honestly, the collections have been more than anticipated in 2023, so that worked out to the benefit of the township as well. We did have some, obviously, we had some unknown expenses, but we were able to cover them. Just like everyone else, the cost of goods and services go up for everybody. So again, you know, we expect 2023 to end in a good position. Um, Excuse me. So I'm just gonna jump down to the 2024 budget. You can read the whole presentation at your leisure. I mean, it's a good presentation because I wrote it, but so let's go to the 2024 budget, which is like page 6 or 7 for you guys, if you're following along. Page 7, if you're following along in the audience. And what you're looking at online, that's what they're looking at. So as you can see, for 2024, our revenues are about 5.3 million, 5.285 million in the general fund. And that's against anticipated expense of about the same 5.230. So we'll end fairly decent with a slight cushion at the end of the year. I will say that within the general funds is the control center payment that's not part of the fire and or EMS tax. The general fund is what's paying for the control center. So it's not as if, these guys are getting shorted. Liquid fuels, that's basically the state fund. That's what you send us 25 cents every time you fill up your car or truck, 25 cents a gallon. That gets distributed throughout the state. So we get about $560,000, and that goes towards our paving projects, some equipment, and snow removal. The golf fund, like I said, our anticipation is that the course will be open in 2024. We expect to have generally the same type of year that we had this year or years prior, hoping for an increase. Like I said before, we did increase the fees slightly for 2024. But again, that's a standalone. So we expect to contribute to that loss of about $280,000 for next year. The sewer fund, like I said, they had a very good year with collections in 2023. There's a number of capital improvements that they're making that did not necessarily get completed in 2023, but will be completed in 2024. Same with the community center. There's a solar project that we did receive the grant funds, but we haven't installed them yet. Actually, they're being delivered Thursday. So weather permitting, I presume they might even be up by end of year. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And the fire EMS. So let me get into that in more detail as far as the fire EMS, because that's new, and I want people to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. So we talk about the fire. The fire tax is 0.50 mils. That will generate, we estimate that will generate approximately $540,000 throughout the year. Again, working with the fire departments, their needs have increased, their costs have increased. The need for reserves is evident. And, let's face it, if the fire department came to us tomorrow and said, we need a new truck, I mean, they'd be SOL, because, I mean, we wouldn't be able to afford, forking over $1.5 million or whatever that number is. So, again, they agree, we agree, that we have to increase not only operationally, but for reserves. So I'll go through this in more detail with anybody who wants to meet, but the breakdown is 64.8% to Marshall's Creek, 17.6% to Bushkill, and 17.6% to Shawnee. It's generally what we had in prior years. I think it was 1717 and 66 or something, so it's generally about the same. So basically, what each department will see compared to 2023, I would say is just about double of what you've gotten in 2023 and what you'll see in 2024. We still have to sit with the fire and EMS and go through the logistics, how we're going to distribute it, what we're going to require, what they're going to require. I will highlight, and I did highlight in the presentation, that one of the things that was agreed to is that we wouldn't have any more road drives. We're making up for that in the way we're funding. So I know that annoys a lot of residents, but by the same token, it does get the people traveling on 209 and not necessarily just residents. So there's good and bad to everything. As far as the EMS, the 0.4 mils, we expect that to generate about $412,000. Again, we have to work out the logistics, but that breaks down to 65% to Bushkill Ambulance, 14% to Suburban, 14% to Lehman Pike, and 7% to Marshall's Creek. So
That also worked out to double.
yes, it works out to honestly, it's more than double for some. I mean, in this year, we didn't give anything to Lehman Pike. So and rightfully so, we should be giving something to them because they cover a portion of our township. So just like we have Marshall's Creek covering and Shawnee and Bushkill Fire, they all cover different areas. So does Bushkill and Lehman, etc. So I guess the only good thing when you talk about an increase is that the cable franchise fee for those cable users is going away or will expire in June of 2024. So, you know, there is some savings to cable users. So that's really all I have to say about the budget. Again, you know, it's a pretty decent report there if you want to get a copy, or like I say, it'll be online tomorrow. So before I hand it off to any questions or comments, which I'm happy to address, I'm going to ask Michelle to read off an email we got from Shawnee Fire.
Dave Timko from Shawnee Fire Department sent an email today. Unfortunately, due to the short notice and prior commitments, we, the Shawnee Fire Company, cannot attend tonight's meeting in support of the proposed MST fire tax. We do support such a tax to enable us as a fire company to continue to provide the services we do in our part of Middle Smithfield Township and in support of Marshall's Creek and the Bushkill Fire Company as their second due and other services they request the Shawnee Fire Company within Middle Smithfield Township. We also understand that the funding from Middle Smithfield Township and the cable tax has been decreasing over the past several years. We applaud MST and its proactive approach in pursuing other funding methods for the fire service within the township. As you are aware, as with other day-to-day expenses in our daily lives, the expenses associated with fire protection services has significantly increased over the past few years. Replacing equipment is at an all-time high, and with our first due engine over 26 years old as a valued replacement cost over $900,000. Any additional funding would be used for such purposes. Thank you for your continued support of the Shawnee Fire Company, the Board of Directors, the Shawnee Fire Company.
Thank you. So I'll open it up to any questions, comments, concerns.
Well, before you do that, can I just say thank you for putting this together? I think
Sure.
It's an excellent report, and Bonnie Winters is Budget and Finance Manager for the township. We're surprised that both of them have any hair left at all, but you did a great job. You always do such a good job with this. So thank you, Bonnie Winters, and thank you, Michael, for doing this every year and doing such an in-depth job of it.
Very well. So, questions, comments? In the back?
Yeah, my name is Joe Forestino. I'm a longtime resident, 21 years here. I have a question for you on golf course. You stated that it was not profitable.
Correct.
For how many years has that been?
This will be 11.
11 years. So we're gonna keep feeding that, dead animal?
Well, the golf course we're trying to sell. It went out once, we didn't get any bids. It's going out again. That's part of the agenda tonight, or at least discussion of it. Also, when we prepared this budget, we went through and worked up a budget with closing the golf course. And you'd be surprised, I was surprised that it actually would cost more because you don't have any income. So the loss would be greater.
Well, your loss now is 238,000, you said?
Correct.
Okay, because that funding can go to emergency services and to other projects.
Absolutely.
So I know you inherited this golf course from the other supervisor,
Correct.
but how long are we gonna keep doing this?
No, believe me, we're trying our hardest to sell it. Because again, it doesn't make sense. Believe me, Mark, you can chime in here. We were shocked that when you break it down and try to take unnecessary expenses as if it was closed, the expense to the township is greater than keeping it open. Again, because you don't have any income.
It's like winterizing a house. You still have to pay
Something has
taxes,
to happen with it. I mean,
right?
we're taking
Correct.
good money from us,
Absolutely.
taxpayers, and pay for something that doesn't really, benefit us.
Mhm. Well, we're.
So if we keep going and going and going, you're over $1 million now
All right.
for after these 11 years.
Mhm.
So we just can't keep going and going to where winterize it and done.
I would love
That was
to.
something we discussed, and you can't really winterize. Because that building has to have the sprinkler system in it. We can't insure it, it's not a sprinkler. So we have to keep that going.
So
We
that's
have to
cost
run
of
heat
heat.
in it.
That's the cost of heat. That's mine.
No,
We're talking,
it's
finger stuff.
Not really.
Yeah.
I think,
So, look.
I think the number we came up with when we did the quick math to keep the golf course just minimally a golf course in the event of a sale was about $280,000.
It was more than that.
It was more than that.
So we don't disagree with you, and we are anxious to be relieved of that property. And when we sat down and discussed closing it this year, I think we sort of like deja vu all over again. Because in 2012, when we first came aboard, that's exactly what we did. And when you start adding up, you have the leases on the carts to pay for, whether the thing was open or closed. You had the maintenance cost of it, and then we came up with a plan. You needed a books, if you're gonna sell a business, you need at least 3 years of books to show someone, which we didn't have. And during that time, we worked on other things, such as rezoning the thing to alert a zone to make it more attractive to sell. So we don't disagree with you that we would like to be relieved of that burden. And we're doing everything possible to to relieve ourselves of it responsibly. If we just donated it to somebody and then just shuttered it, we lose all that land is no longer on the tax rolls. So we're trying to get someone in that will put it on the tax rolls. So we don't disagree with you, and we are just even more anxious than you are to be rid of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, none of us want to own a golf.
Okay, and now another question I have. On the emergency services side, I'm not representing any service here,
Okay.
but the township had the organizations get audited, funding, trucks, manpower, equipment, what they have. So did you get the reports back from the committee you hired?
Nope.
What happens if the committee comes back and says the funding from the township is inadequate and supersedes your budget that you're trying to propose.
We'll make it up and
Always next
we'll
year.
make it up in 2025. I've said this to every single department I met with, every EMS I've met with, that this is our best shot at it right now. We're doing the best we can for 2024.
Mhm.
Hey, listen, it may be I'm giving you too much. Maybe I'm overfunding. I know Norm doesn't agree with me.
I think though, when we looked at this, Mike, we all agreed that we didn't want to come back next year and raise it again.
Right,
And then raise it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Correct.
Anyway,
Then you're gonna have us come back here and say, hey, the homework wasn't done, you didn't wait for the reports to come back from your agencies that you hired. It was premature to do this increase right now. I mean, there's so much that can go on. I'm just bringing it to your attention.
But Joe, I can tell you that if we're wrong, you're wrong. Because quite honestly, we're using the numbers that we agree to with each department. Because that's our best guess right now.
Mhm.
Till we get this thing from JLN, and I don't know if it's gonna be a godsend, but if that tells us something different, then we'll adjust it. None of us are afraid to adjust it. But again, we don't want to put this out there at 0.5 mils in 2024, and then say in 2025, it's gotta be 0.85 or whatever the hell it is. So again, we're working with you guys, and this is our best guess, and it's your best guess. So we're all in this together.
I just wanna make sure you have a contingency plan.
Yep,
That's gonna be.
yep. Contingency plan is to blame Annette.
It all works out perfectly, Joe. When we sell the golf course, you're absolutely right. We have another $250,000 to decide how to utilize it for emergency services or the like.
I mean, there's gotta be something like a cutoff date or something, because we're just putting bad money in a bad situation.
Mm.
You inherited the issue, and you're trying to do the best with it, but how long can we drag it? Cash for clunkers, you take the car, you know what I'm saying? We gotta do something.
Again, we're doing our
Donate it
best
to the
here.
fire department.
This is our best foot forward, that's all I can say. Ed,
Ed, Gina,
In selling the golf course, am I correct in assuming or saying that you established a minimum payment or a minimum price you wanted for it?
that's correct.
All right, but in real estate, the value of the real estate is whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. So if you lower that, do you have a better shot of selling it?
And we did. When we first went out to bid, the minimum was $950, $960. We didn't get any bids. This time around, we lowered that to $650,
and a survey.
and we're providing a survey, right? I mean, there has to be some, when you're sitting on this side of the table, there has to be some rationale to tell the taxpayer where'd you come up with that number. You know, Mike Dwyer can't sell the golf course for $1 because you own it as much as I own it. So there has to be some rationale. We took the appraised value and we said, okay, first we went at
A third.
30% of the appraised value. That was the 9 and change. That didn't go. So now we're saying, okay, then we'll go to 20%. At least we have some sort of basis. So, you know, the guy sitting on the internet in Coolbod 20 years from now says, what the hell did you sell for $500,000 for? At least there's a rationale.
I remember it's more than just the land over there. 60 golf carts, there's tractors, there's all kinds of equipment. It's more than just.
Right.
Just the raw land that's there.
Right. What we had one guy come in years ago, wanted to give us like
200.
$200,000. I mean, I could,
And
Can't buy golf carts for 200.
yeah, I mean, I could sell the parts for $200,000.
we don't want to be sitting here and having angry residents saying you sold out because it belongs to all of you.
Right.
And we don't want an angry resident or group of angry residents to say, why did you sell what belongs to us for practically nothing? So,
Maybe go buy what's behind your house, approach them,
Absolutely.
approach them and say, hey, you can have an acre directly behind your house, have them pay for it, then it's theirs. You know, I mean, that's another option, that you give them the option, if not,
Absolutely.
it is what it is, get rid of it.
I think I saw another hand on this side of the,
How much did you purchase the golf?
$1.
What?
$1.
Really?
it was a gift.
Wherever.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's our fruitcake. Anybody else? Sir,
I'm Brian Dunlap, the Director of Finance for Suburban EMS. I just wanted to say I think the fire and EMS tax are both worthwhile ventures for the municipality. I think that both aspects will greatly appreciate the benefit from it, especially in the current state that emergency services are, not only in the state, but nationally. And by instituting such tax specifically for EMS, I feel like the municipality is getting ahead of the game because eventually it will be commonplace.
thank you.
Thank you.
Tim,
Yeah, Mike and Mark, appreciate everything you've done for our company over the past few years, quite a few years. It's nice to finally see a tax come to realization for us, because we've been getting really hammered on this Blue Ridge cable thing.
Right.
With you tonight, Henry Miller, John Gandolfo, and Yamada, and all board of directors for our fire company. We're here to show support. It doesn't get cheap to buy this equipment, but we're in the process of looking at an engine right now. Probably gonna come in more in the area,
right,
and, you know, down the road, it's only gonna keep going up. But I'd just like to say thank you, and, we'll be here to support you any way we can. And it's finally gonna be nice to have a number to work with that we can actually work a budget.
Right.
Because we haven't been able to the last 10 years.
sure,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Supervisors, for that excellent presentation they put together. It's a lot of things to chew on. We'll pass it on to our treasurer. I think he was on the, Zoom.
Nick Dennis, Assistant Chief Marshal Street, I'm here with two of my board members. Again, we want to thank you guys. You've been very proactive in this. You've worked with us, you've asked us questions, you've looked at our budgets. We're in support of this, for both fire and EMS. I want to thank you guys for the time you put into it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You agree, Norm?
What?
You agree?
Well, I agree with the point.
All right.
Here's another question. I don't have to introduce myself, but I am going through the Bushville emergency, and we have our captain, and I have 3 of our board members here as well. One of the things I wanted to do is to allow you and the public to know the support we have from our medical director. Dear community leaders, life is unfortunately at times full of stressful events. Nothing is more stressful to one of our residents than calling 911 in an emergency. The need for immediate medical assistance is something that frequently shakes people to their core. As an emergency physician practicing in Monroe County for the last 35 years, I see people daily who reach out to the 911 service. These residents hope that someone will respond to their needs swiftly and provide skilled medical attention. I've had the privilege of working as volunteer medical director with Bushville Emergency Squad since 1988. I provide medical direction and supervision to the paramedics, EMTs for no financial compensation. The compensation I receive is knowing that there are good people out there willing to help someone in need. I have seen the Bushville Emergency Service respond to all kinds of emergency needs through severe weather conditions on weekends and holidays, and sometimes risking their own lives. They have been valuable assets to our community, and I believe the service they provide has been excellent. The pandemic has stressed all emergency services. We have seen significant issues with staffing of EMS personnel across the entire country. We are currently living with that deficit everywhere. Monroe County is no exception. Bushville Emergency Corps is a vital part of Monroe County's EMS system. Continuing to serve the community as part of that EMS system is vital in maintaining the overall EMS service. And he goes on to say that all services have to respond 24 hours a day. The same with Suburban, and that we all answer the needs of our residents. So thanks.
Mhm. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you all. That said, so I would make a motion to authorize Township Secretary to advertise the proposed budget for possible adoption on December 28th at 7:00.
Any comments or questions? Anyone on Zoom? Did we miss anybody there with any comments or questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
That brings us to the treasurer's report. We're up again.
motion from our general account, $101,404.18.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion from our sewer account, $60,838.69.
All second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion from our golf account, $22,420.85.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion from a liquid fuels account, $36,390.42.
Second, any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye. And a motion from our cable franchise, $25,500.65.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye. Nothing further until it's time to adjourn.
Okay. So I neglected to introduce who is sitting in for Pat Armstrong today. Pat Armstrong is our solicitor from Grim, Bean and Thatcher. And today we have Sean Duffy, who welcome to the peace light ceremony and welcome to Middle Smithfield Township.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Have you got a solicitor's report for us?
I have nothing to report to the board unless there are any questions.
None as of yet. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is no engineer's report and no engineer. Old business would be the sale of the golf course, which we discussed a little bit tonight, also. Mark, do you have anything you want to add about that? Other than we do have the bid documents ready, we are awaiting, from RKR Hess.
So
Is the board satisfied
Yeah.
with the survey that we received? Yeah, so we're all happy with that, so we're happy
we work
with,
together the bid document.
yeah,
Get that out. Perfect.
that would be terrific. So the bid opening, we're hoping to receive bid or advertising to receive bids by the second Wednesday in March 2024, and then the the first Wednesday, and then the first Thursday is when we will be opening the bids. So with any luck, it'll be somebody else opening the golf course in 2024. So thank you for that. New business. So we did apply for a grant. So under new business, we have resolution 12-2023-1, which is a resolution for Middle Smithfield Township to submit a grant application for the statewide LSA grant program for funding to extend the public sewer facilities to the C2 commercial district along Route 402 from the existing pump station at Russica Elementary School. So thank you to Russica Elementary School for allowing us to orchestrate this, and you're willing to surrender your pump station to the township for us. And what that's going to do is bring sewer out onto 402, so different businesses such as Pocono Springs Camp, the AOK if they would like to, the Deerfield Inn, the person that is the new owner now of that 55-acre lot across from Russica School are all in favor of doing this. So this motion is to ratify our grant application. It's a $101,000 project with Middle Smithfield Township paying $23,000 of that and asking for a grant of $78,000. So do I hear a motion to ratify this grant submission, this resolution 12-2023-1?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the next one is do I hear a motion to authorize and direct the township solicitor to prepare the ordinance for PMRS?
Motion.
Any comments or questions? I think Pat explained what this was at the last meeting.
It's in the minutes,
And
yeah.
it's in the minutes for all of that are over on the side. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then, who would like to make this motion on the building lease agreement between Middle Smithfield and Bushkill Emergency Corps?
Motion.
$1. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? You're very well. All in favor?
Aye.
Better read the fine print
Pay
first.
the secretary on the way.
Better read the fine print first before you.
All right, so that now brings us to, public comment. Is there any public comment from anybody on anything? Your favorite.
Motion to adjourn.
Comments or questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Take care, folks. That's all you know.
Look at the names there, look at.